Lewis Hamilton sits in the garage at the Red Bull Ring staring at data that tells a terrifying story. The Ferrari SF26 did not break down in Austria. It finished exactly as designed, and that is the problem. The public saw a difficult race, but Maranello sees a philosophical ceiling. This is not a mechanical failure. It is a fundamental limit exposed under the brightest lights. Hamilton lost 0.8 seconds per lap in the final stint. The car looked fast in qualifying, but suffered a massive drag penalty under race weight. Battery depletion forced him to lift early, stripping him of control. He was not just losing time. He was losing the ability to dictate the race. Ferrari called an emergency meeting to confront this reality. The question is whether the SF26 has a hidden weakness that steals performance when it matters most. Hamilton felt the car asking for more than it could give. But the real terror wasn't just that the car was slow. It was what the engineers realized about why the tires were dying so fast. The SF26 looked like a contender on Saturday. Hamilton secured fourth on the grid, giving the Tifosi hope. The car felt sharp, validating months of work. Qualifying pace created a powerful narrative of success. It was the kind of result that makes a team believe their development path is correct. Sunday told a different story. As fuel loads decreased, the SF26 lost its edge. Hamilton dropped back, falling behind cars he should have beaten. This disconnect between single-lap speed and race performance is deeply concerning. It suggests the car's strengths are conditional, while its weaknesses are systemic. The public saw a bad race, but it was a demonstration of fundamental limitations. Ferrari chased a low-drag setup that works in qualifying, but creates a high-drag penalty in race trim. The Red Bull Ring exposed these flaws immediately. The illusion of speed gave way to the reality of struggle. But the real terror wasn't just that the car was slow, it was what the engineers realized about why the tires were dying so fast. Raw telemetry reveals a mechanical cascade. What no broadcast covered is the link between electrical deployment and drag. The car pushes the hybrid system to its 350 kilowatt limit every lap, draining the battery faster than rivals. When the charge drops, the car loses defensive capability. This is a fundamental mismatch between energy recovery and aerodynamic demand. Technical analyst Mark Hughes notes that Ferrari's active aero correlation failed at high ride heights. Drag increases significantly, forcing the driver to use more energy just to maintain speed. Hamilton lost 0.6 seconds in Sector 1 due to drag, but suffered a catastrophic 1.2 seconds loss in Sector 3, where traction requires torque. This technical reality meant the tires would never survive. Lack of electrical torque forced Hamilton to slide the rear wheels, generating excessive heat. Tire stress was a symptom of the deeper energy deficit. Engineers saw this pattern repeat lap after lap. The car was mathematically incapable of sustaining competitive speed. Fixing the drag should be easy, but when you fix the drag, you break the electrical deployment window, and that creates a nightmare for the man in the cockpit. Hamilton built his career on managing tires and attacking when rivals fade. This requires a car that responds predictably. The SF26 denies him this by changing behavior based on electrical state. When the battery is full, the car feels sharp. When it depletes, the rear becomes unstable. This inconsistency strips away confidence and turns aggression into cautious management. The emotional weight is evident in post-race debriefs. Hamilton is fighting the energy management software, not just other drivers. Every radio message is a negotiation about power usage. This constant compromise prevents him from finding a rhythm. A 7-time champion knows when a machine is holding him back. The frustration comes from a lack of freedom to use the speed he has. His feedback to engineers has been direct. He identified that the car's ceiling is mechanical grip under electrical load, not just aerodynamics. This shifts the focus from setup changes to a deeper design flaw. Hamilton's experience allows him to feel limitations sensors cannot measure. His calm demeanor masks a ruthless assessment of the car's potential. Hamilton can adapt to a bad car, but he cannot adapt to a car that lies to him. And that brings us to the exact moment in the garage where the emergency meeting was called. The rest of the grid did not miss the signs. Max Verstappen and Red Bull identified the battery depletion pattern and exploited it. Verstappen pushed hard in laps 10 through 15, forcing Hamilton to drain his reserves faster. This tactical pressure turned a manageable gap into an insurmountable deficit. Red Bull is not just beating the car on pace, but outthinking it on strategy. McLaren joined the hunt with Norris and Piastri, using superior electrical deployment to slipstream past Ferrari. The MCL39 maintains higher speeds for longer, forcing Hamilton to use more battery just to hold position. The championship math is brutal. Every race Ferrari finishes 6th instead of 2nd costs them 12 points. Over 10 races, that is a 120-point swing that could decide the title. Fred Vasseur faces immense pressure to deliver results. He must balance short-term points with long-term development. Insiders report a growing sense of urgency within the team. Rivals are actively widening the gap by exploiting every known weakness. This external pressure compounds the internal technical debate. Red Bull and McLaren aren't just beating Ferrari, they are forcing Ferrari into a development trap. And Fred Vasseur knows exactly what he has to do next. Inside the Maranello wind tunnel, engineers ran a brutal cost cap simulation. The team is split on how to proceed. One group wants a complete redesign of the side pods and floor, which would take 4 months and consume 20% of the remaining budget. This offers the best chance of fixing the imbalance but carries huge financial risk. The other group advocates for a software update to the deployment mapping, which is faster but recovers less performance. Fred Vasseur sits at the center of this debate. He knows choosing the wrong path could end title hopes permanently. Hamilton's feedback serves as the tiebreaker. The champion stated the ceiling is mechanical grip under electrical load, pushing the team toward a holistic solution. Vasseur understands a software patch will not solve the underlying philosophical flaw. The stakes extend far beyond the current championship. The decisions made here will define the DNA of the Ferrari car for the next 3 years. Abandoning the current concept means admitting the initial design direction was wrong. Continuing with a flawed package risks wasting Hamilton's final years. The emergency meeting was about a choice between short-term survival and long-term glory. The team is split down the middle. Half the garage wants to change the concept. The other half says it's too late. But there is one final piece of data that will decide the fate of the season. The data from Austria revealed the true nature of the failure. The SF26 suffers from a philosophical flaw rooted in the 2026 regulations. Ferrari designed the active Aero for low ride height, but heavier batteries force the car to run 5 mm higher. This destroys aerodynamic correlation. When the car pitches up under braking, the aero elements stall. This is a direct consequence of fitting a low-drag concept into a high-weight reality. This mirrors Ferrari's 2022 struggles with the F175. That car also had straight-line speed, but destroyed tires due to instability. History is repeating itself with higher electrical stakes. The SF26 cannot be tuned out of this problem. Engineers are fighting against the physics of the regulations. Fixing the ride height requires a new chassis philosophy that cannot be implemented mid-season without violating cost cap restrictions. The harsh truth is that the SF26 was built for different conditions. The team optimized for qualifying speed, sacrificing race stability. In the 2026 era, you cannot have both without breaking the budget. The only way to fix the car is to abandon the current development path. This means accepting a difficult remainder of the season for a stronger future foundation. Now that we know the exact nature of the flaw, the question isn't whether Ferrari can fix it, it's whether they can fix it before the championship is mathematically out of reach. The championship projection points to a stark reality. If Ferrari chooses the software fix, they might win a few races, but Red Bull will likely take the title by 50 points. If they choose the new concept, they risk a winless season but secure a competitive future. This is the ultimate test for Lewis Hamilton. He came to conquer the grid, not manage a flawed car. The way Ferrari responds will define his legacy in red. The Tifosi must find patience in a season that promised immediate glory. The emergency meeting was a declaration that the team refuses to accept mediocrity. They are willing to sacrifice short-term points for long-term success. Hamilton knows this better than anyone. His role now shifts from competitor to technical leader, guiding the team through its most difficult development phase. The prancing horse is wounded but not dead. A limited car is more dangerous than a broken one because it gives you hope while ensuring you never win. It steals the championship one weekend at a time. The SF26 looks fast enough to dream, but remains flawed enough to lose. The emergency meeting was the moment Ferrari chose to stop lying to itself. Now comes the hard work of tearing down a concept that almost worked. Because in Formula One, a broken car can be fixed in a weekend. But a flawed philosophy can only be cured by the courage to tear it all down and start again. And for Lewis Hamilton, that is the only race he has left to win.